This week's Ironman tip: saddle height and heart rate. Hey everybody, so tip of the week. This is actually a really interesting tip that I'm going to share with you, mainly because it is purely anecdotal. I have no study to back this up or corroborate, and because I first experienced it just this past weekend. So I could be all wet on my theory, but here in a minute I'll give you my reasons for why I believe it. Okay, so I mentioned in one of my recent videos that I had picked up a new saddle. It's a San Marco brand short fit model cutout saddle, and really like it. It's firm, but very comfortable. You know, as saddles can be. And now that I put several hundred miles on that saddle, I'm very satisfied with it. I like it as much as I've liked any other saddle I've used. But recently, I'm going to say over the last 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a little longer, I started having a little knee pain in my left knee, and it's that classic knee pain that is a result of a saddle that is a little too low. I'm sure that any of you folks who ride have experienced that from time to time. The saddle's too low; it puts a little too much pressure on that knee when you're grinding for miles. And so I thought to myself, okay, next ride, if I continue to have that pain, I'm gonna adjust my seat up a little bit and see what happens. So this past Saturday, I on my long ride, about 30 minutes in, that knee pain, it was there, and it was just enough that I'm thinking, okay, there is a problem here. So at the hour mark, I took the opportunity. I fueled up and took my salt and all of that, but I raised my saddle about 7 or 8 millimeters. Okay, and when I got back on, instantly my knee pain went away, and just everything felt better. Everything just felt like it should be. It was just everything fit better. So, which was all good, but an unintended benefit that I experienced was my heart rate dropped about 7 or 8 or more. We could arguably say 10 beats a minute. Now that was weird. Okay, that's a significant drop in effort. Okay, now if you're like me, you're thinking to yourself, I doubt it. But I'm just telling you, that was the only thing that I changed. We're talking about 3-4 minute time gap. Got back on the bike, and for the next 2 hours, my heart rate was significantly lower, 7, 8, 10 beats a minute lower. That's indisputable. I watched it happen. So here's my theory. When I put that new saddle on, either I never got it right to begin with, and it was always a little bit too low because I didn't have it fit. I didn't do a bike fit. I just put it on and measured what I know my retool fit says from the center line of the crank up, and so maybe it was a little too low to begin with. Maybe it slipped over the last couple of months. I don't know. But and maybe the knee pain, it didn't show up. What didn't become evident until I started loading up the miles. I don't know. Either way, by raising that saddle, that 7 or 8 millimeters, it changed the geometry of my fit just enough to allow my quads, my glutes, my lower muscle groups to the ability to put more power into the crank, into the ground, with less effort. Okay. If you just envision this in the extreme, if you were sitting on a tricycle trying to power and drive your pedaling and go fast, what that would do to your knees and your, everything. You're just very inefficient. If you're at a correct height for your frame, for your body frame, then everything works better. And so I think what's happened is, by changing that geometry that little bit, I'm able to keep the same pace with less effort. Less effort means lower heart rate. Heart rate obviously is simply the reflection of your effort. And so if that is the case, what that means is I'm going to be able to turn a better pace if I stay aerobic, than I would have with a lower saddle, or my pace will increase if I keep it up in that ceiling, just above ceiling, kind of where I ride sometimes. Either way, it's great news, because come race day, I'm going to need all the energy I can get for the run. So my goal will be, to ride in that aerobic state, ostensibly with a little less effort, and I'll hold a better pace, get off the bike, and I will be in a better position to have a good run. So pretty interesting. My tip is, I encourage you to go get that bike fit that I talked about in a few videos ago. And if in the perfect world, get the bike fit after you settle on the saddle that you're going to use. I know that's hard to do, because I've been through several myself after my fit. So, but either way, get a bike fit. If my theory holds, you could be losing power and energy over just a few millimeters, and that would be a real shame come race day. So, get that bike fit and check that out. Try to be aware of how things feel. Focus on that heart rate, and try to monitor changes like that. You make a small change in your saddle height or your aero bars or whatever. Be aware, because you don't want to be losing power over some little tweak. Okay. Anyways, one simple tip. Might be a bunch of hogwash. I don't know, but I was there, so time will tell. Anyways, that's my Ironman tip. Hope it helped.